See you. Thanks so much for joining us today for this wellness webinar. Thank you so much to Dr. Hawkins and Seidel for hosting us again. She has a little bit different channels than I do for marketing sessions like this, so it just helps us reach a wider audience. So we always appreciate that. Just some housekeeping stuff. If you are a Be Well participant and you want 5 points for the session, you can go ahead and just snap a snip or a screenshot or a photo on your cell phone, submit that on the app. If it's easier, if that's too confusing, if it's easier just to email me for a certificate, I'm happy to send you a little PDF you can upload. So whatever works for you, and you'll get your 5 points. And so today, just kind of an overview. It's a little bit different. We're not going to be showing any slides. This is going to be a panel of our colleagues, so faculty and staff members. And I invited these folks just because I know that none of them are perfect in wellness. I don't think any of us can claim that we are perfect. We're on this journey of wellness, journey to better health. But these folks, I know them, and I know that they're very good at finding ways to eat healthy and get some physical activity in, and maybe practice kind of more of that mindfulness, mental health care that we all need. And so they're just here today. They're going to share some tips and tricks and things that have worked really well for them and they feel like could translate well to others. They're probably going to share a little bit about their personal why they take care of themselves and commit to their wellness. And then also, just they're some of these people, not all of them, but some of them represent an area on campus. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Some of them represent an area on campus, and so they'll get a chance to just tell you a little bit more about the areas that they work in and how you can access those resources. So sorry, I'm back on track. You lost me there for a second, but I'm back. So I'm going to introduce our panelists today. So we've got, and I'm going to do very brief. I'm just going to give a name and the area. And if y'all want to do more than that, I'll let you do that. So we have Dr. Alicia Landry. She represents Nutrition and Family Sciences. We have Nathan Slinkard here from Airmark. He's our campus registered dietitian serving students, faculty, and staff. Great resource. Thank you for being here. Kim Escola was supposed to join us and she let me know she had something like an emergency come up. So she might not be here. I don't see her, but we'll circle back to her. Kim Escola is with Exercise Science. So if she joins us, that's where she's from. We've got Adi Savedio from Hyper and UCA Campus Recreation. Thank you, Ari, for being here. We've got Tina Livingston joining us from the UCA Counseling Center. So good to see you, Tina. And then Dr. Amy Hawkins with Seidel, as well as far as I'm still aware, the School of Communication. Yeah, she still teaches courses over there too. So doing double duty. So so those are our panelists for today. We'll talk about, again, those kind of 3 main topics we wanted to focus on today, which is healthy eating, physical activity, and sort of that mindfulness, mental health. And we'll kind of progress through the order in an orderly fashion. So just to kick things off, we'll start with healthy eating. And I'm gonna kind of look to Alicia and Nathan to start us off, but so whichever one wants to go first too, it doesn't matter. But what's your why, if you wouldn't mind sharing, why are you committed to your healthy eating and your overall wellness? Why is that important to you? And then sort of ways you balance a busy schedule with healthy eating here on campus and at home, challenges you may have faced in the past and how you've overcome those challenges. And then sort of your advice when you hear people say, I don't have time to eat healthy, what would you say to those people here in our campus population? So I'll open up the floor to you.
Nathan, you want to start?
I will jump right in. Yes, you saw my put my mute off first, so I guess that's me volunteering first. So first of all, I wanted to say thank you and hi to everyone. It's so great to see so many faces I haven't seen in a while or just heard over the phone, so it's very exciting. Some of the reasons why I think that eating is, healthy eating is so important for overall wellness, and I'm, lucky in a lot of ways. Just even growing up and then choosing nutrition as a major was so helpful, even as a college student. Learning how to cook healthy, learning how to meal plan and understand what I can eat, because what you eat, that's what gives you energy. That's what, influences your health. And so if you're at a place where you have low energy or you have, busy days, start with what you're eating. Start with planning. Am I really investing more time into my own health? And am I doing that in the kitchen, the grocery store, and things like that? Here at, working for Aramark, I get free lunches every day, which is awesome. I love eating in the cafeteria. So I have that benefit. So when I'm grocery shopping and meal planning, I also have to think about my wife, who has to, she has a very busy lunch schedule. Kind of sometimes she's fitting in meetings. And so one of the ways that we've kind of found a plan for her is to bring leftovers. And so not all of us are a fan of leftovers, but learning to love leftovers or learning to get enough food for the day is so important. I think when she first started working full time, she just didn't bring enough food. She would get home starving and she'd be like, oh my gosh, let's get fast food or something like that. You're cooking salmon. Ooh, I don't want that. I want something good. And so once she started bringing snacks and bringing enough for lunch, she was like, I have more energy. I'm less stressed. My blood sugar isn't getting low or anything like that. And then we would come home and we would be more, want to eat something a little bit more balanced, and we're not just starving. So those are some of the personal ways that I've kind of learned. I'm very lucky because I get to get, lunch here. But yeah, those are some tips. Start to think about that. One other thing, because I love that question of, well, what if I don't have time? And I was just curious. I Googled today, what's the average, amount of time we spend on our phones? It's bad. Americans are spending an average of 4 to 5 hours on their phones every day, which not all of us do that, but maybe some of us do that more. So, the fact is it can take 15, 20 minutes to really make a healthy meal, even one where you have portions for the next day. So if we have enough time to be on our phones, carve out a little bit time. You might find some, areas and portions of the day that you really do have some time to meal prep, or at least to plan a little bit some meals for the week. So those are my opening thoughts. What about you, Alicia?
Yeah, so I'll start out with my why. So I'm a big science nerd and I love like statistics and biology and chemistry. And so what brings that all together is nutrition. So I feel like nutrition was the perfect major for me to start in. And then my grandmother raised me a lot of the time, and that's how we bonded because she was an amazing cook. And so she had been cooking for her family since she was like 13. So she taught me how to make biscuits and all. And so it's like a love language and a culture, like everybody speaks food, right? So you can get to know people through just even starting out a conversation with what's your favorite food. And so that's my why about being in nutrition. But so being busy and not having time, I think I'm pretty hard nosed about not having time because I feel like you make time for what you want to do. And so, the example I talk about when I'm with clients and things like that is I hate washing windows. Like Windex and I do not get along, and I just don't do it. And that's something at my house that just does not get done until my husband gets fed up with the dog slobber and he can't see out the windows, and then he does it himself. Like it's just not happening. But what I do love to do is vacuum. So I'll vacuum every day just because I make time for that. And so, if you hate cooking, you're not going to make time for it. Or if you hate grocery shopping, you're not going to make time for it. So, but if you like eating, you're going to make time for that. But the hating cooking or preparing and then loving eating are completely incompatible. So find something that you do love about it. Do you want to order HelloFresh and have it delivered? Do you want an Instapot cookbook that's easier? Pay a college student to cook your meals. Like we have starving nutrition students that would love to cook your meals in bulk and portion them out and freeze them for you to pick up. Have a day where you have people over at your house and you go to Sam's and buy a ton of food and cook all these different recipes and freeze it in portions so that you can use it. So that's kind of my idea around the food prep and the busyness part of it. And like Nathan was saying, it's really important not to skip meals and keep those things that are energy boosters around you so that you don't crave things when you leave work or leave home or leave the gym even. And ask for help. I think that, like, I have that in all caps. Like, there's nutrition experts on campus. You know, you have Nathan available to you. You have the Department of Nutrition and Family Sciences, dietetic interns who want to help and to get experience in their graduate program. And so ask, you know, if you're having a problem with fitting things into a healthy, balanced diet or a healthy, balanced lifestyle, ask for help. There's no shame in asking for nutrition help, because we went to school for a lot of years to help out.
Mariah, I have a little quote that I used to give to my students when we talked about time and time management. And that was, if you don't make time for wellness now, you will be forced to make time for illness later. And that sort of, let's increase our awareness to why they're always asking, why is it important? Yes, you have all these tips for me, but they're like, I don't want to look at it. But increase the awareness, make that why so important, that it's not for today, it's for our stages of life as we get older.
I love that. I love that, Ari. Thank you for adding that. Do any of our other panelists want to jump in on this topic of healthy eating? We kind of segmented it out to different expertise areas, but any of you can jump in. Does anybody else have any comments?
I certainly don't want to set myself up as an exemplar for healthy eating. You know, I'd give myself a solid B, but I like cake too. But what I would say is that if you're thinking about cooking, one of the things that really helps me is I love to cook, but I also love to feed people I love, which I think should include yourself. So if you value yourself, if you value, you know, thinking about how you can look at it as a way to nourish yourself, not just physically, but just, this is part of taking good care.
Yeah, and as Nathan was saying, making sure we get a balanced meal, because when I prepare my meals, and I learned this in graduate school, I was fortunate to have taken a nutrition course, and I try to make sure I get my protein, my carbs, my fats, my dairy, my fruits, and my vegetables. And that's how I plan breakfast, lunches, and dinners and snacks. Of course, like Amy said, there are days I'm like potato chips and wine, or someone's dying. And, you know, and that's called coping, but balance and putting that at the forefront.
And I'll throw in one more thing. So I have a family member with a lot of food allergies and intolerances. And so working around that becomes difficult. And a lot of times I just don't have the mental energy to well, even on Sundays, as I'm planning for the week, just the mental energy to plan out a week's worth of meals. And so that's, again, ask for help, ask for those resources, and find what works for you. Don't feel like everything has to be just this cookie cutter. This is how it's going to be. This is because so-and-so does it this way. Nutrition is so personalized, and do what's therapeutic for yourself and healthy.
So that's a good segue. I wanted to ask Nathan and Alicia, can you just describe your services and different things that are offered here on campus? So Nathan, if you could talk a little bit about nutrition consulting, and then Alicia, maybe touch on the InBody and Vegemeter, and anything else you'd like to share.
Absolutely. So a website that is awesome is ucadining.com. And I have a new way to book appointments that's even faster. It syncs with my Outlook calendar. So rather than having to email back a few times, will this time work? Will this time work? You can go to ucadining.com, go to the health and wellness section, and click book an appointment. And this is free for all students and also faculty and staff. It's also a great website for a few other reasons. One, if you do eat on campus, whether it's in the Christian cafeteria, if it's the Christian cafeteria, then there's a lot of tools. There's the allergen and food preference filter tool. There's the meal calculator tool, which is really handy. If you use MyFitnessPal, all the Aramark recipes are already in there, which, you know, it can be a little hard to use that, MyFitnessPal, because you never know. There's huge calorie ranges, huge nutrient ranges, but the good thing is they have all been put in there. So that's a handy resource. And also it's just got all the locations. So those strange times of the semester, getting close to Christmas or spring break, and you're not quite sure what's open, you can just go there and see. They post the hours in case you're wondering what is open. Like the summer, things look completely different, of course. So, and then also in the health and wellness section is my monthly nutrition newsletter, which I know a lot of you guys have seen and enjoyed. And so, and I really love when I have dietetic interns having their input. Gives me a break from just having to create content constantly. It's so cool to see what they have in mind and what they'd like to talk about. So if you miss any of those in your email, each month is always available there. So yeah, and I love doing events throughout the semester. So just keep an eye out. You know, I had mentioned, and Mariah knows, on Monday we'll be doing another teaching kitchen event. So if you'd like to come to that, we still have some spots available. You can go to UCA Dining, the Instagram page, and in the bio is a link to sign up for that. So I'll be discussing smoothies, which are such a great versatile thing. It doesn't have to be breakfast. It could be a snack, you know, and you can make it as simple or as complex as you want. You can put protein, healthy fats, and make it really interesting. So we'll be doing an avocado berry one, which is very exciting. A lot of people are throwing avocados now in smoothies because they're very, very creamy and they make for some great ones. So that is the event coming up. And so those are some of those services.
Thanks. Alicia.
Yes. So in McAllister Hall is where Nutrition and Family Sciences is housed. We have a nutrition assessment lab on the second floor. And so that lab has stadiometers and scales and all kinds of, glucometers for blood glucose testing. And we were very fortunate to have a contract with the United States Department of Agriculture that provided an in-body machine and a Vegimeter. And so both of those are pretty well. The Vegimeter, more than anything, is really recent technology. And so what that does is look at the carotenoid pigments that are in your skin using infrared spectroscopy. So I know that's a lot of big words, but when you eat vegetables and fruits that have a lot of like orange, red, yellow, blue, purple, those pigments are embedded into your skin. And so that Vegimeter uses light to measure the pigments in your finger and kind of gauge, your fruit and vegetable intake. And then with the in-body, it is a bioelectrical impedance analysis. And so that technology has come a long way in a short period of time. So this particular model, you stand on it barefoot and you hold on to the handles, and it measures your body water. Compartmental analysis is what it is known for. And so it can tell us about your visceral fat, which is the fat around the intestines, heart, lungs, and one of the biggest indicators for risk of stroke and cardiovascular disease. And so it's really cool piece of equipment that we can get a lot of really good information on and help you achieve fitness and nutrition goals through those assessments. And if you're interested in that, you can reach out to me and I'll connect you with some of the interns and they'll get you scheduled.
That's great. Yes. And I'm also trying to, as fast as I can, get some links in the chat as well. So there's a link in the chat to the in-body and Vegimeter. That's the health assessments link that you see there. I've got Nathan's event coming up next week. That's Smoothie Teaching Kitchen. That's linked to our Be Well calendar. So that's an easy way to access that. And then Nathan, I feel like the link I have for you is okay in terms of providing your contact information, but I don't think I have the link for booking your consult. So if you have an easy way to pop that in the chat, feel free, but there's no pressure if you can't.
Okay. Yeah,
it's a lot to be on Zoom and do that at the same time.
If you just go to the health and wellness section, that first page, it'll take it to them. You'll scroll down and see book an appointment, and so that's the link. So I think if it's that one, I'll double check, but that should be the right link. So.
Okay, great. I didn't actually take a close look. I apologize. Okay, well, good. Yeah, and as we go along, this is a discussion. So please continue to add things to the chat, questions. If we don't get to them right away, I'm watching the chat, so we'll circle back to them. But thank you, Nathan, Alicia. I'm sure you'll have more to contribute, but we're going to move on to our second topic, which is physical activity. So I don't think Kim has joined us yet. So I'm going to go just to Ari. And Ari, would you mind jumping in and sharing your why, if you're comfortable doing that? Why physical activity and overall wellness is important to you, strategies that you use to sneak in that physical activity, What helps you stay motivated? We'd love to know that, because I think we all probably need some encouragement in that area. And then again, that great question, what do you say to people that say that they don't have time?
Mhm. Well, my why and my motivation are tied together. I was a physical education major in undergraduate school, and I never exercised, but I was very active and tomboyish growing up. So when I ran my first mile in a PE class, I thought I was going to die. And I was like, why would people want to do this? And that was way back in 1978. Yes, there was fire and the wheel was invented. And then the more I had to run in the class, the more I realized I like how I feel. I even have more energy. I like the way my leg muscles started to develop, and that was wonderful. When I went to graduate school, I had a graduate teaching assistantship where I worked in cardiac rehab, where I saw very young people who were as young as in their 40s, late 30s, who had suffered cardiovascular events, heart attacks, or strokes. And I was like, wow, that opened up my eyes to, yes, I'm healthy now. What do I need to do so that when I'm 40, 50, I'm not afraid to step off a curb, or I'm afraid that some physical activity is going to cause me a heart attack? So why do I stay active? Is because I want to remain healthy and active as I age throughout my stages of growth in life. Time management is critical. Many people, why do I not exercise? I do not have time. Life is a roller coaster. It's never smooth sailing. And we have times in our lives where our schedules stay the same, but we have times in our lives where our schedules change. We have children, their schedules change. We change jobs, life events happens. So one of the ways I try to tell people, first thing you have to do to start with time management, find what you like to do, because if you enjoy something, you are going to do it. Going to a gym and telling a personal trainer, I want to lose weight, what's the best way to lose weight? And they'll say, most people think it's running. And I'm saying, no, it's the activity you like. Is it a treadmill? Is it an elliptical? Is it swimming? Is it walking? Is it riding a bike? So what do you like to do? That's what you're going to want to do over and over as you experience the benefits of improved health, wellness, and energy. Some people, in terms of time management, I think that's enough there. Prioritization, like I said, if we don't make time for our health, we're going to have to make time for our diseases. When I taught a wellness class, I would tell my students, right now you are young and healthy college age students. Look at your parents, your grandparents, aunts and uncles. Whatever their state of health is, that's where you're headed, because they established your eating habits, your activity habits, and you are going to follow along if you are not healthy right now and you continue with these habits. So making sure you prioritize and become aware of where you are right now. Wearable technology. I was never a fan of Fitbits because I don't want to record all this stuff. However, personally, you said talk about personal, about 5 years ago, I was a fitness runner, started in 1978 to March 15th of 2015, where I ran my New York City half marathon, the race of my career with my daughter. I have not done much of anything since then. Why? We opened our beautiful new facility in the fall of 2014. I had new work responsibilities, new directors. We had new responsibilities. There was a lot of changes going on. And I unfortunately let my work-life balance lines blur, and work became my life. And here I am now. We won't talk about how many pounds heavier, but I have come in the last 2 years to say, I'm going to prioritize my work-life balance. Actually, Alicia, it was 3 years ago that we did our first UCA Be Well biometrics and health risk assessment. I got my results back and they were great, 93 out of 100. And I emailed Alicia and I went, Alicia, I got great results. Why do I feel like poo-poo? And not all of my dimensions of wellness were in balance. My mental health was, I was stressed out. I would get home and I would crash. And now I am slowly trying to bring myself back. So making sure that people understand you're going to have bad days, bad weeks, bad months, bad years. It's the point of always working to trying to get back. So last November, I got a Fitbit. Why? Because my children had a Fitbit and they said, my daughter said, Mom, you can join our step challenges. Okay, I will join it. Now, my form of physical activity is NEAT, non exercise activity thermogenesis. I am not structurally exercising. I'm not running 5 miles at a certain heart rate. I am walking. I have a coworker who I think is on here that we meet at 2 o'clock and we walk upstairs on the track almost every day that we can, so that we get some in. And at the end of the day, I look at my Fitbit calendar. Is my daughter beating me? She is pregnant. I cannot allow her to beat me on my steps during the day. So finding the little things that help you, whether it's the wearable technology. With non-exercise activity also, I literally get up in front of my television and I'm going to dance to get my steps in. March in place, do some dancing, because I really hate the heat and I'm not going to go outside. So find things that you like to do and do them. Social recreation, find a buddy. Come to the hyper, walk, or a friend in your neighborhood that you can do things like that. Some people like variety. They don't like to do the same thing. So do a treadmill, do a social activity like group exercise classes. I like to run, so that is hampering for me. I'm trying to get back to that. Find what you like to do. You can also try equipment at home. Purchase a piece of equipment. I don't recommend that for me. I've had them and it becomes a good clothes hanger. So I lay my clothes on them at the end of the day and I do not use them. So those are some of the things that I do. What were your other questions, Mariah?
I think that you covered it. You gave us some great tidbits there.
Oh, and the simplest way to become physically active, what I always used to tell my students, and when I did fitness assessments, is walking. We have been doing that since we were about a year old, and it is the simplest form. Do it all the time. I keep my water bottle at my desk. The more I drink, guess what I have to do? There you go, Amy. I love it. You have to get up and go to the restroom. One of my coworkers drinks her water when she has to go to the restroom, walks once around the track, comes back to her desk.
Love
Find
that.
simple ways to increase more steps and more physical activity into your day.
I want to chime in, Ari. So just yesterday, Mariah and I had a conversation with a few others about when's the best time to exercise, in the morning or in the evening. And really the answer is it doesn't matter. Whenever you do it, just do it.
What works in your schedule. For students, their school schedule changes every semester. And again, what works for you? I am not a morning person. I wish I could get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go for a run before my kids got up. Not going to happen. I would do mine in the middle of the day, after work, while they were in their sports activities, or at the end of the day.
And I'm going to regret saying this because I'm enjoying the hyper being a little bit less busy, but I emailed Richard the other day just because I am consistently in awe of how clean and how well trained those employees are. Y'all do an amazing job, and it's better than ever. So thank you for all the work that y'all are putting in the hyper.
Great segue, because now I'm going to talk about the hyper. The use of the Hyper Center is a free benefit to all faculty and staff. Okay, so you have to pay nothing. We are open innumerable hours a week, Monday through Thursday during the academic year. We open at 6 a.m. and we close at midnight. Fridays, we open at 6 and we close at 9. And on the weekends, Saturdays, 9 to 6 and 3 to midnight on Sundays. Hours get shorter in the summer as they're coming up because we have less students on campus. Even during holidays, during Christmas, we extend our times and we are open because we are an essential facility and there are students on campus. So it is free to you all. How do you come to utilize the hyper? First and foremost, you have to have an orientation. If you have never had an orientation, you have the opportunity to gain 10 lifestyle rewards points. You contact Mariah. Mariah will send you to me and we make an appointment and I come and give you an orientation. What does that consist of? You get to know the hours of operation, our rules and regulations, dress codes, equipment checkouts, etc. And you also need to sign a waiver. What that waiver says is that you understand that there are inherent risks when we participate in physical activity and that you are taking that risk, that you know your level of fitness and you are not going to do crazy things that's going to cause you to have injuries, from as simple as a rolled ankle to death. Okay. All our student workers are CPR, AED first aid certified, but we do not want to have to ever use it. And knock on wood, we've never used it in the almost 20 years that I have been here. So what are some of the programs that we have available for you all to engage in? Obviously, we have group exercise classes. We always have fall and spring classes, and then we have summer classes. We don't do anything for May. We have fitness assessments. A fitness assessment is a program where you make 2 appointments. The first appointment, they'll do a health questionnaire, health history questionnaire. They'll do a list of assessments, flexibility, BMI, skin fold measurement, submax bicycle test to monitor heart rate, heart rhythm, blood pressure responses. So it's pretty in-depth. And then they also ask you, what are your goals? Why do you want to come to the hyper? And they will prepare a program, strength training and cardio program, either one that you want or both, and then take you through it on your next appointment. And then that's it. You're kind of on your own. So it's just a basic starter to get you going. If you want more help, we also offer personal training packages that are much cheaper than what you would have to pay outside in the community. We also offer private swimming lessons that they are for a fee. It's called Safety Before Skills. Those are about to start up again, I believe May 15th. We also give you spouse and child memberships for the pool for the summer. So if you want your spouse to come work out with you, there's a membership that you can purchase for them. Our campus outdoors program is awesome. You can check out for free kayaks, canoes, tents, life vests, cooking utensils, a whole other list of things that you would need to go out and enjoy a weekend in the natural state for free. Of course, we must remind you, you break it, you buy it. You lose it, you buy it. Our challenge course is also available for reservations for all UCA and community members. Challenge course has high elements and low elements and rock climbing walls, zip lines. It's usually used for like leadership and team building purposes, but if you would like to reserve it for just a fun activity, I can give you the contacts of who to reach out, the assistant directors, for what those fees are. And we also have intramural programs. Now, that's a lot of information. So what does it sound for someone who's never been here? Overwhelming, understand that, and intimidating. The simplest way to get into this building and not be overwhelmed before you try out any of these things, if it's so overwhelming, get your orientation, come into the track, walk around. It allows you the opportunity to get some physical activity in and say, what's going on over there? What's going on over there? Now, all of our equipment have step-by-step instructions, how to turn on a treadmill, how to use the weights, but nobody wants to sit there and go, they feel intimidated. And I have also, through the years I've been here, been told by faculty and staff, I don't want to work out with the students. I don't want them to see me. I'm embarrassed. My response to them has always been, they're not looking at you or me. They're looking at themselves. So if you have no other option of where else to exercise, please come to the fitness center at the Hyper. Any questions, please reach out to me and I will be more than happy to speak with you individually.
We do have a quick question in the chat. Someone asked about the swimming lessons for adults or for children?
For both.
Okay,
For both.
thank you.
And
Good.
there is a fee to those. They are private swimming lessons.
Okay, good question, Vicki. Dr. Hawkins, did you have anything you wanted to add on the topic of physical activity, exercise?
I really just wanted to talk about my why related to this one. My mother was always just a great role model for me. She had me going to jazzercise probably when I was 12, and so I was active as a kid, I was active as a young adult, and then just kind of fell away from it. And so when my son was in junior high, I would do walks and cardio, but I wasn't really holistically engaging in fitness. And about 6 years ago, I noticed that he also seemed extremely sedentary. So I think that parenting is caught more than taught. So I said, okay. So I went to the gym, signed up with a trainer, and I was intimidated, just what you said. I felt like everybody knew more than I knew about it. And now I'm a gym rat, as they say, 6 years later. But the other thing is my son was watching, and he now is also, in fact, he might be unhealthily addicted to exercise, but that's a different topic. But at least I planted seeds in him that this is just what we do. This is as normal as brushing your teeth. And so I think finding your why in caring for yourself and also being a role model for our kids, and then also mixing it up. So I now find it very important. I do yoga. I don't really love yoga. It's a little more meditative than my mind likes to go, which is exactly why I need it. So I do yoga, I do cardio, and I do strength training. And I'm not suggesting you have to start with all of those. I didn't. But over time, all of those have become a part of my habits. So that's the one other thing I would say is that the research that we know about how you form habits is cue, do, and then reward. And I don't know, remember, I've read Atomic Habits and several of those books, but basically pair your workout with a certain thing that cues you that that's when you work out. So for me, it's I get home, I make dinner, I clean it up, I go to the gym. I don't question it. It's just, that's just what I do. And so I would just encourage you to figure that out. The other thing is pair it with something that is a reward. So people who have those bikes at home, the Peloton cult, I think I could get into that too. I'm not critical of it at all. I just can't afford one. But a lot of those folks will also pair that with TV or with, watching their favorite show. And so I just think, building in other things that would make it rewarding could also be helpful. So just a couple of personal testimonials.
And if I can jump in and just add something really quick, I think having a workout buddy has been my saving grace. If I ever get in a situation to where I'm like, I don't really feel like going today, or, I'll have my buddy that says, she'll text me, have you worked out today? And I know that I have to respond to that. Or like, for instance, this morning, I text her, my goal is always to go in the morning and just and get it over with. But I didn't go this morning, so I have to say either, hey, I went this morning, or I'll see you at 5:30. So today I said, I'll see you at 5:30. She said, oh, well, okay, I guess I'll see you at 5:30. So we just kind of help each other out. Just by having that accountability in one person that says, I'll go with you, has been helpful to the both of us.
I love that. That's a great tip. Ari, I just wanted to come back to something that you said that really stuck with me. I loved how you did like this super comprehensive overview of all the amazing things you have, and that can be so overwhelming. And I think that's so true. I think back to my first kind of introduction to a fitness facility, and I remember being overwhelmed, and I was quite young. I was probably 17 or 18 when I really, kind of wanted to do it on my own. But I loved your suggestion of just going in and walking and just kind of getting comfortable with the facilities. Or maybe it's not the hyper, maybe it's something else. But I love that. I love just kind of going in, making sure you get your orientation taken care of. They'll show you around, they'll show you where the locker rooms are. So it kind of reduces that fear of the unknown, because I think that's a lot of it. And also, I agree, we all think that everybody's going to watch us while we're working out, and it's true. They're not paying attention to you. So kind of trying to get over that is so key, is that you just go in and enjoy what you're going to do, and don't worry about anybody else.
And I was going to say, if anyone wants to just schedule another appointment with me, go through, or just have a conversation, absolutely. And remember that we don't have to, guidelines recommend 30 minutes, 3 times a week minimum. You can start with 5 minutes, 2 minutes, whether it's at home, whether it's around your neighborhood, or coming to the hyper. Just the fact that you walk through the doors in this building would be a success. To me, if you are someone who's overwhelmed, just to meet with me, come and meet with me and talk to me, and not worry about having to exercise. I will walk you through the building, or we can just sit in my office and talk, or a Zoom meeting or a phone call, just so that you can start to feel comfortable and do it on your terms, because you want to, not because you're feeling forced to.
Yeah, that's a great point. Vicki, you had another great question. Vicki's hitting the chat today with some great questions. Thank you, Vicki. She said, can we do another orientation if ours was many years ago? And I say, yes, absolutely. Like you just said, just email you or call you, and you can set something up.
Absolutely, Vicki. Come call me and see me.
Yeah, because if it's been a while, I mean, the hyper's changed a lot just in the last few years. There's so much more that's being offered. I know most facilities, equipment kind of moves around sometimes depending on what you have going on or your maintenance schedule. So yeah, I mean, you can always do a refresher.
Well, and another thing to remember for those who are intimidated and feel like they don't know what they're doing, everyone in here was a beginner once too. We all had to start somewhere. So don't beat yourself down because you don't know. We all have to take that first step. And I'm here to help you.
For sure, for sure. And Alicia reminded us in the chat, thank you, Alicia. She said, that overwhelming feeling is there for food and nutrition too. So definitely don't be afraid to ask questions, do your research, try new things. So again, that's why it's so important. Reach out to Nathan. He's there for you. Alicia and her team, her Dietech interns, they're there for you to answer questions. So I always say, if we were just at like a normal organization, corporation out there, we wouldn't have all of these in-house resources, but we are so incredibly blessed. We have experts in all these different things right here on campus. They want to share their information. They want to help. So take advantage. It's just great. It's just great. We're very blessed to be here. Okay, we're going to move on. Category number 3. We are moving on to mindfulness and mental health. And mindfulness is one of those weird terms. We've had some sessions about that. So some of you are pretty familiar with that term by now, but some of you may not understand what mindfulness means. So I'm just going to kind of give you like sort of the dictionary definition, and we'll kind of start there. So mindfulness is kind of taking yourself out of that autopilot mode, sort of focusing on that present moment, acknowledging your thoughts, feelings, the way your body feels. If you're eating, maybe thinking about the way that food tastes or how it makes you feel when you're consuming it. This can be really structured. You might have like a very structured journaling routine, or maybe you go to yoga 3 times a week. But this can also be something informal, like just pausing and taking a few minutes every day to acknowledge something that you're thankful for or grateful for, something good in your day. That's actually something we've started with our son. We have a 5-year-old who's really struggling right now. And so his doctor, his therapist has recommended that we ask him that question. What are 2 good things about your day? And so that's something that we're starting. And I told her, I was like, well, I think I'm going to do that too, because I think we can all benefit from it. So it's kind of become a family affair. So that's just a little teaser for what mindfulness means. But really, we're also talking about mental health. I try to say all the time, be well. We are not just talking about exercise and eating. It is so much more than that. And I'll say those habits are so often tied to our emotional health, our mental health, stress, whatever it is. It all works together. It all forms that big picture of like the big W of wellness. So I want to hand it over to Tina Livingston. Again, she's joining us from the Counseling Center. She has a lot of expertise in this area, but we also want to hear your personal why. And then, what you do to practice mindfulness, take care of your mental health. And I'd also like you to speak to sort of how we can encourage these practices on our campus among ourselves, among our colleagues. How can supervisors encourage this? And of course, this all also goes to Dr. Hawkins, but I'd like to start with Tina if we could.
All right. So I'll start with my why. I think a big reason why for me that I really emphasize mental health, not only is it my job, but because I want peace. I think for a lot of people, wanting to protect your peace is something that is very, very precious. From day to day, whether we're working or with our families or with our friends, we have a lot of stressful situations. So being mindful, being in the moment, my big why is because I want peace. You asked the question of what are some things that I do to kind of what I call protecting my peace, or what do I do to maintain my mental health? There's a lot of things. I will start with actually some of the things that we've already been talking about. That piece of eating well, getting exercise. And then, of course, not only are you eating well, getting exercise, but how you surround yourself. What kind of people are in your life? How do you spend your time? Whether and something Dr. Hawkins talked about, being mindful of what you're doing, who you're with, and taking care of yourself. So some other things that I kind of share about mindfulness, I'll start with, I like to think that mindfulness starts in the morning. When you wake up in the morning, you want to wake up and start your day with a purpose or with intention. Maybe you get up and stretch in your bed, kind of, I like to go from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet. I'll squeeze my fingers, relax them, maybe tense my shoulders, relax them, and just do a whole body check of just squeezing and relaxing all my muscles until I get to my feet. And then when I get out of the bed, I'll think, okay, so what is my intention for today? Like, what is it that I want to get out of today? And sometimes it's, today I'd like to be kind to myself. Or today I'd like to be patient with other people. Or whatever that means to you, like whatever your intentions are for the day. And as I set those goals from the morning, I'll go through the day and I'll check in. Okay, well, how have I been doing with this? Like, have I been more mindful in the sense of staying grounded or being patient with others? Or have I been kind to myself today? And then as I go through the day and I get to my night, I may do that journal exercise. I may sit down and write, okay, hey, how did I do in this area? Or what great things happened to me today? Or I might tell a friend, or I might, tell that to my husband. Hey, let me share what happened to me today. And then at the end, it kind of gives me a way to check in with myself on, Tina, if I had to grade myself today on what my intentions were, how well did I do today? And as I do that, I can set goals for the next day. And then I can set goals for my week, and I can set goals for my month, and just kind of be in the moment that way.
I love that. And I put in the chat, and Alicia and I kind of did the same thing at the same time, was we love that you said protect your peace. I think that's a really profound statement. And I'm going to take that away for sure. Love that. Dr. Hawkins, would you like to speak to this subject?
Yes, but thank you, Tina, for just the way you even said it was so peaceful. I feel better already. I just want to encourage people for whom stillness is not easy. Some people I think are just, from what I can tell, some people are just, it's more natural to them to meditate, to be mindful. My mind is like 6,000 windows on your browser open, right? And so this is essential to my health. So my why, I want to talk about why, and then I want to talk about a couple of habits that I would build on what Tina had shared. I think especially for women, we talk a lot about self-care, but then we define self-care as wine and Netflix. And I mean, I'm not anti-wine, but that is a very superficial understanding of self-care. Self-care is about truly having compassion, kindness, and self-respect and self-trust. So listening to your body, meaning mindful eating, right? Listening to your body in what kind of movement it needs, and also listening to your body in that it does need quiet and time away from our phones, and we're not multitasking. And so I think it's just good to know you could be bad at it. Like if you want to try meditating, for example, showing up is the point. And I would let you know, I've used several apps. I've tried, I'm looking on my phone because I have some of them on my phone, 10%, Headspace. I really like Calm. That's my favorite, I think, of all of them. But if an app that guides you through a 5 to 10 minute meditation helps, then I think you should feel free to do that. I find that when I go through seasons where I meditate 5 to 10 minutes in the morning, to build off what Tina said, I agree with you. You're setting your day. It makes for a much more peaceful internal presence with myself than if I don't. The other thing I started doing more recently, I never wanted to journal because I didn't want anybody to ever read it. I'm sure some other people, I also like really new notebooks are really great to me, clean notebooks, and then I write in it. But I do what is called morning pages. If you've ever seen the book, The Artist Way, she just talks about the power of getting up and writing a couple of pages every morning, just free writing. And so I do that. And between meditating, inspirational reading, and journaling, I find that those make a huge difference in just my overall mental and emotional health. So I just wanted to encourage people, especially that you go, this is just not how I'm wired. Maybe just adding that in at some level could make a huge difference, because it's the people it's the hardest for that might need it the most. So that's just some thoughts I have on specifically on meditation and mindfulness.
And I think you made a great point, Amy, about, the wine. That's a coping mechanism, and find more healthy ways of coping. And mindfulness is certainly one of the things that I need to do it at work too.
Do any of our other panelists want to jump in on this topic?
Well, I think that mindfulness and nutrition go hand in hand. And, we've been talking about a lot of things, yoga and, mindfulness and things like that. I'm so lucky. My wife is a clinical therapist and a yoga teacher. So I got a lot of things, a lot of resources I get just from her and learning great things. But I've learned a lot from her and just, in my experience. And one of the things that I like to teach a lot about is called mindful eating, and a little bit different is intuitive eating. So I'm going to post a great website to check out. It is, it starts with being kinder to yourself. I think we put so much pressure on ourselves. We tell ourselves so many negative things subconsciously, and we don't even think about it. And if you were to actually stop and think about the things you're saying to yourself, it can be, things that we shouldn't be telling to ourselves. So I think it starts with being a little bit kinder to ourselves, taking some of the pressure off. We might have a lot of goals, but just starting with one small goal and working on that. And it can take weeks and months to form a habit. And so maybe rather than trying everything at once, starting small, something that you want to work on first, making sure you get that down, and then moving on to the next thing. So definitely check out that website about intuitive eating. It was created by 2 dietitians, and just read through those 10 principles. Some of them may, connect with you. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to myself. And if you've got any questions about it.
Yeah.
Okay, I just got to be a little annoying. I know I'm a book pusher and idea pusher. But the book Intuitive Eating, that is the website is from the same authors, is outstanding. But they also have a journal that I've been doing, which you can take just a little bit at a time. And I think intuitive eating is the kindest approach to eating that I've ever read. Just this idea of trusting that your body knows what it needs. And if you let it have cake, then it won't want cake every day. It will actually want vegetables the next day, because our bodies actually are fairly wise if we would, maybe break out of the diet culture that surrounds us. So yeah, I'll stop there because this is really my thing I'm on lately.
That's awesome. And we start out, babies and kids, they have that internal regulation to stop, when they're done, or to cry, let you know when they want something. And I think we just get so disconnected from that. And that goes hand in hand with mindfulness. So doing other mindfulness techniques, meditation, self-affirmations, yoga, connecting with yourself in the moment can tie into eating and other areas of our lives. I think we get so disconnected. And so it goes hand in hand. So if you're eating and you're not even thinking about it, you're watching TV, or you're just on the run and you're just, eating just because you need to eat, then you don't derive a lot of, satisfaction or flavors from the food. And then that can affect cravings and things like that. So just trusting yourself a little bit more and getting, more mindfulness techniques can have a profound influence on so many areas of your life, and make you feel happier about yourself, and, make you, just better at everything you do.
Some of the things is not just, yoga. It could be, are you artistically creative? Go out and do something. I remember when I was in grad school, if I was stressed out, I used to do cross stitch. If I was doing cross stitch, I was not going to be eating my potato chips. So I would do that start my projects at night. And we're doing a student wellness program, a campaign that starts on Monday, where we're doing, one of my interns came in and said, I want to teach a art and express yourself, a class in expressing yourself through art. And myself, Kristen, my administrative assistant, and the intern, we did an art project, and I'm very type A. And I was like, here's where I want my paint. And I was like, how do I get started? And we had so much fun by the time we were done, and we were just laughing and relaxed. So finding things that bring you peace, that can decrease that stress that you use as your coping mechanism, and not food or alcohol or other bad behaviors.
Alicia, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in a little bit on the mindfulness too. I find that I can get caught in this like negative feedback loop of comparison to others, and I compare, like, why don't so-and-so likes kale? Why can't I like kale? Or this person can, like, I work with a faculty member who's done 12 Ironmans. Like, why can't I not run like that? And it's like, that is not at all the message that, when I'm talking to clients or people that I'm working with, especially around nutrition, that I want to give off. Like, it has to be personal. It has to be something that you're motivated by. And it's something that gives you the reason. I mean, you find your own why, and you don't look to other people for their why, because if you do, it's going to be short-lived, and it's going to just turn into something that becomes a chore. And none of the things that we've talked about today should be chores, because they're things that make you a better human and make those people around you better humans. And so look for that in yourself. Sorry, soapbox, I'll step down.
No, that's great. We do want to respect your time, and so I'm going to wrap up with one final with one final thought about the mindfulness and mental health. And that is just sort of normalizing that on our campus. Having discussions like this, I think, is really important. But also all of you, I'm going to put something in the chat. We've done a session on connecting with our coworkers in the past, and sort of the proper way to do that. And it's called the Ask, Listen, Connect model. And I've put a PDF there. You can click on it, and feel free to share that widely. It just gives you an appropriate way to really check in with people, not just to like, hey, how are you? But like, really, like, how are you? How are you doing? Really touching base with people. Sometimes you may need to say, hey, we've got the employee assistance program here to help you. And that can be a resource to them. But sometimes just having a conversation with someone and knowing that someone's checking in on you is so important. A lot of our employees, y'all, live alone. And so work is their social life. And so I just want all of us to remember that, and just kind of make a conscious effort to remember that campus can be a place where it's okay to talk about mental health. I think that's really important. And speaking of that, I am going to put one final link in the chat to our employee assistance program. I don't want to forget to mention that. Our counseling center is, of course, always available as a resource, but faculty and staff can utilize our EAP for counseling, short-term counseling, referral, addiction, substance abuse issues, grief, stress, family, life crisis, whatever. They're there for you, and it's free of charge. So I think we'll leave it at that. But finally, I just want to say thank you so much to our panelists. I really enjoyed this session. That was a powerful hour of really good conversation and all of these different topics. So thank you, Amy and Nathan and Tina and Ari and Alicia. We appreciate you. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us today. Everybody have a great afternoon and a good weekend.